In your world today, you've been conditioned to believe that effort, struggle, and constant striving are the pathways to your desires. The world teaches you to push harder, to fight more fiercely, to compete more intensely. But I tell you this, the very act of trying is the confession that you do not have. And as long as you are trying to get something, you are confirming its absence in your experience. Let me share with you a principle that I know to be true, not as theory, but as a law I have proven countless times. The more you try to get something, the more you push it away. This is the law of reverse effort, and it operates with mathematical precision in our universe. When you try to get something, you are automatically confessing that you don't have it, and what you confess you possess. I think about it for a moment. When you try to fall asleep, does sleep come? No, the harder you try, the more elusive sleep becomes. When you try to remember a name, does it come to you? No. It's only when you stop trying, when you relax your mind, that the name flows effortlessly into your consciousness. This is the secret I'm sharing with you tonight. Now let me take you to Scripture, for the Bible is the greatest psychological document ever written. In the book of Matthew, it is written, "Therefore I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours." Notice carefully the tense used here. It doesn't say believe you will receive it, but believe that you have received it. This is the key to all manifestation. The great error of humanity is that they're trying to get what they already have. You are trying to become what you already are. The very moment you desire something, that which you desire already exists in what I call your imaginal act. It is already yours in the spiritual realm. And the spiritual realm is the cause, while the physical realm is but the effect. Let me share with you a personal experience. Years ago when I was in Barbados, I desired to go to America. Everyone told me it was impossible during wartime. The quota was small, and the waiting list was long. But I discovered this principle I'm sharing with you tonight. Instead of trying to get to America, I assumed I was already there. I lived in the end, in the feeling of already being in America. I walked the streets of New York in my imagination. I felt the cold winter air on my face. I saw the tall buildings. I lived from that state of consciousness. I did not try to get there. I lived as though I was already there. And then the most extraordinary series of events unfolded. A man I had never met facilitated my journey. And within months, I was standing on the very streets I had walked in my imagination. You see, the secret is not in the trying, but in the assuming of the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Now, let me show you how this principle operates in every area of your life. Whether it's money, love, health, or success, the law remains the same. The moment you stop trying to get it and simply assume you have it, the entire universe reorganizes itself to make it so. But you must understand, this is not positive thinking or wishful thinking. This is the law of consciousness. Consider this. Everything in your world is pushed out of your consciousness. Your consciousness is the only reality. When you try to get something, you are pushing out the consciousness of lack, of not having. But when you assume you already have it, when you live in the end, you push out the consciousness of possession, of having. Let me give you a technique I have taught to thousands, and it has never failed when properly applied. Instead of trying to get what you want, every night as you lay down to sleep, assume you already have it. Feel the naturalness of having it. Create a scene that implies the fulfillment of your desire. Feel the joy, the satisfaction, the completeness of possession. Then fall asleep in that state. You see, sleep is the state of consciousness where your subconscious mind is most receptive. As you fall asleep feeling you already have what you desire, you are impregnating your subconscious with the seed of fulfillment. And just as the seed must fall into the earth and die to its current form to be reborn as something greater, your conscious mind must fly into the sleep state while holding the feeling of fulfillment. This is what is meant in Scripture when it says, "The kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed, which a man took and planted in his field." Your desire, planted in the fertile soil of your subconscious mind through the feeling of fulfillment, must grow and manifest in your world. But remember, you must stop trying. Trying implies effort, and effort implies lack. Instead, live in the absolute assumption that what you desire is already yours. Feel its reality now. Experience the joy of possession now. Let every action, every word, every thought spring from the consciousness of already being what you want to be, having what you want to have. Many of you may be thinking, but Neville, how can I assume something is mine when my senses tell me otherwise? This is where the art of consciousness comes into play. Your physical senses show you the harvest of your previous assumptions. They show you the effects, not the cause. The cause lies in your consciousness, and that is where the change must take place. When you walk into your room at night, you don't try to get light. You simply flick the switch, assuming the light will come on. You don't stand there trying to make the light appear. You act with the absolute confidence that the light will respond to your action. This is how you must be with all your desires. Let me share another principle that few understand. The outside world is dead. It has no power to give you anything or take anything away. It is simply responding to your consciousness. When you try to change things on the outside without changing your consciousness, you are like someone trying to change their reflection in the mirror without changing their face. Your world is yourself pushed out. Every person, every circumstance, every event in your life is yourself pushed out. When you try to change them through effort, you are working on the reflection. But when you change your consciousness, when you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, the reflection must change. This is why Scripture tells us, be still and know that I am God. This stillness is not physical stillness, but the stillness of trying. It is the cessation of effort. It is the complete acceptance that what you desire is already yours. Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They toil not, neither do they spin. Yet Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these. This is not a lesson in laziness, but a profound spiritual truth. The lily doesn't try to grow. It grows by allowing the life force within it to express itself perfectly. You are that lily. Your desires are the perfect pattern of your unfolding. But when you try to force them into being, you interfere with the perfect pattern. You introduce struggle where there should be only allowance. Let me give you a practical exercise. Tonight, when you go home, take your desire, whatever it may be, and create a scene that would imply its fulfillment. Make it as natural as possible. If your desire is for a new home, feel yourself living in that home. Feel the texture of the furniture. Walk from room to room. Feel the joy of ownership. Then, and this is crucial, don't try to make it happen. Simply know that by feeling the reality of it, you have set in motion the law that must bring it into your physical experience. Remember, the feeling is the secret. Not the trying, not the effort, but the feeling. Feel as you would feel if your desire were already a physical fact. Persist in that feeling and watch how life rearranges itself to match your assumption. Now let me address something that often confuses people. They ask, but Neville, doesn't this mean we should do nothing? No, that's not what I'm teaching. Action will come, but it will be inspired action, not forced action. When you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you will be moved to take whatever action is necessary, but it will feel natural and effortless. Think of a composer writing music. He doesn't try to compose, he listens inwardly and records what he hears. Think of a great artist painting. They don't try to paint, they allow the image within to express itself through them. This is how you must be with your desires. The great secret is this: the feeling of the wish fulfilled is the very feeling that seals its fulfillment. The more you try to get it, the more you affirm its absence. But when you live in the end, when you possess it in consciousness, the trying ceases and the having begins. Let me share one more biblical reference that beautifully illustrates this principle. Before they call, I will answer, and while they are yet speaking, I will hear. This is telling you that the moment you desire something, it is already accomplished in consciousness. Your work is not to get it, but to accept it, to assume it, to live in the end. As we conclude tonight's discussion, I want you to grasp this fundamental truth. Everything you desire desires you. Everything you want wants you. But as long as you try to get it, you create resistance. The moment you assume you have it, all resistance dissolves. Tonight, dare to assume you are what you want to be. Dare to assume you have what you want to have. Don't try to make it happen. Know that it is already done. Live from that assumption and watch the miracle unfold. Remember, consciousness is the only reality. What you are conscious of being and having, you must become and have. The world is yourself pushed out. Change your concept of yourself, and you change your world. Stop trying to get it, and you'll have it. This is the law, and there is no other way under heaven by which anything is accomplished. The kingdom of heaven is within you, and all that you desire is already there, waiting for you to stop trying to get it, and simply accept it as yours. Now, go in peace, knowing that what I have told you tonight is true. Apply this law, test it, prove it in the laboratory of daily life. For I tell you, with God all things are possible, and God is your own wonderful human imagination. Many of you came to me after our previous discussions asking, but Neville, if I stop trying, won't everything fall apart? Let me tell you a story that will illuminate this principle further. There was a lady in my audience in New York who had been trying to sell her house for 2 years. She had listed it with countless agents, reduced the price repeatedly, and was constantly trying to make the sale happen. After hearing this principle, she did something remarkable. She went home that night and did what I'm teaching you. Instead of trying to sell the house, she assumed it was already sold. She sat in her favorite chair and constructed a scene implying the sale was completed. In her imagination, she held the check in her hands, feeling its crisp texture. She felt the joy and relief of the completed sale. Most importantly, she stopped trying to sell it. Within 1 week, a buyer appeared who purchased the house at her original asking price. You see, the lady's constant trying was her confession of not having, and therefore she could only reap the harvest of not having. The moment she assumed the completed state, the law of consciousness had to operate to bring it into her experience. Let me take you deeper into scripture, for remember, the Bible is not telling the story of historical events, but is revealing eternal psychological truths. Consider the story of the Israelites trying to enter the promised land. For 40 years they wandered in the wilderness, trying to reach their destination. But it was only when they stopped trying, when they followed the instruction to stand still and see the salvation of the Lord, that the walls of Jericho fell and they entered their promised land. This is not just a historical account, it is your story. Your desire is your promised land, and your trying is your wilderness wandering. The walls of Jericho represent all the seeming obstacles between you and your desire. But these walls fall not by effort, but by assumption. Now, let me give you a practical technique that I call the Sabbath. In Scripture, God rested on the seventh day, not because he was tired, but because the work was done. This is your guide. When you properly assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you too must rest from your mental labor of trying to make it happen. This is your Sabbath. Every time you find yourself trying to make something happen, catch yourself and remember, the trying is a confession of absence. Instead, assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled and rest in that assumption. This is what it means to enter into his rest. Consider how you operate when you truly have something. When you have money in the bank, do you try to have it? No, you simply know it's there. When you are in your own home, do you try to be there? Of course not. You simply are there. This is how you must be with your desires. Let me share another principle that few understand. Your consciousness is God's gift to you, but what you do with it is your gift to God. When you try to get something, you are essentially telling God that his gift is incomplete, that something is missing. But when you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you are accepting the gift in its completeness. Many of you have asked me about taking action. Never you say, if I stop trying, should I stop doing? No, my dear friends, action will still occur. But it will be inspired action rather than desperate action. When you assume the state of the wish fulfilled, you will be moved to take whatever action is necessary, but it will feel natural and effortless. Think of a bird building its nest. It doesn't try to build, it simply follows its inner pattern. The action flows naturally from its state of consciousness. This is how your action should flow, not from trying, but from being. Here's a profound truth. The universe cannot give you what you want. It can only give you what you are. As long as you are trying to get something, you are being someone who lacks that thing. But when you assume the consciousness of having it, you become someone who has it, and the universe must respond accordingly. Let me give you another technique to apply this principle. I call it the morning watch. When you first wake up in the morning, before you engage with the world, take a few moments to establish the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Don't try to make your day good, assume it is good. Don't try to be successful, assume you are successful. Start each day not by trying to get what you want, but by assuming you already have it. Remember the words of scripture, let the weak say, I am strong. Notice it doesn't say, let the weak try to become strong. This is the law of assumption in operation. You assume the state you desire to express, and that assumption, persisted in, will harden into fact. Consider your own experience. When you know something with absolute certainty, do you try to know it? No. The trying comes only with uncertainty. This is why I tell you, the feeling of certain of already having or being what you desire is the key to manifestation. Many of you are wondering about the time it takes for your assumption to become your physical reality. Remember, time is not a distance we travel. It is a bridge we cross in consciousness. The moment you fully assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you have crossed that bridge. What appears as time is simply the journey of that assumption through the dimensions of your world. Let me share another secret. The feeling of relief is one of the most powerful feelings you can cultivate. When you try to get something, you feel tension. But when you have something, you feel relief. This is why it's so important to capture and maintain the feeling of relief that comes with fulfillment. I've taught thousands of students, and those who succeed are invariably those who master this art of feeling relief instead of trying. They learn to live from the end instead of trying to reach the end. They understand that the end is where we begin, not where we arrive. Now, some of you might be thinking, but Neville, my desire seems so big, so impossible. Let me remind you of something. Size exists only in the world of effects, not in consciousness. In consciousness, the oak is not bigger than the acorn. They are the same thing in different states. Your desire, no matter how grand it seems, is not bigger than your capacity to assume its fulfillment. This is why scripture tells us all things are possible to him that believeth. Notice it doesn't say to him that tries, but to him that believeth. Belief is not trying to believe. It is the feeling of knowing. When you know something, you don't try to know it. You simply know it. Let me tell you about one of my most remarkable students. She was a woman who had been deaf in one ear for over 40 years. Medical science had declared her condition permanent, but she understood this principle deeply. Instead of trying to hear, she assumed she was hearing perfectly. She didn't try to heal her ear. She simply lived from the assumption of perfect hearing. Within 2 months, her hearing was completely restored, baffling her doctors. This brings us to what I call the law of perpetual creation. Every moment of your life you are creating through your assumptions. When you try to get something, you are assuming you don't have it, and therefore creating more of not having it. This is why it's so crucial to master your assumptions. Here's a practical exercise I call the daily reset. 3 times each day, morning, noon, night, take a moment to reset your assumptions. Ask yourself, if I had what I desire, what would I be assuming right now? Then assume that. Don't try to make it true. Know that your assumption makes it true. Remember the biblical story of the prodigal son. Notice that the father didn't try to make his son return. He assumed the return in his heart. And that assumption drew the son home. This is how your consciousness works. It draws to you whatever you assume to be true. Let me share one more technique, the mirror method. When you look in the mirror, don't try to see what you want to see. Instead, assume you are seeing what you want to see. Your physical reflection may not change immediately, but persist in this assumption, and your reflection must conform to your consciousness. Now, some of you might be wondering about action. Remember this principle, right action flows naturally from right consciousness. When you assume the state of your wish fulfilled, you will be moved to take whatever action is necessary. But it will be inspired action, not desperate action. Consider how you act when you have something you once wanted. There's no trying, no forcing, no struggling. You simply act from the state of having it. This is how you should act now, from the assumption of already being or having what you desire. Let me address those of you who are impatient for results. Impatience is just another form of trying. When you truly assume something is yours, you become patient because you know it's already yours. The seed doesn't try to become a tree. It contains the tree and naturally becomes it. Here's what I call the Sabbath state. In this state, you rest from all trying because you know it is finished. This doesn't mean you become inactive. It means you act from the certainty of fulfillment, rather than the uncertainty of trying to achieve. Remember, every time you find yourself trying, it's your signaling. Don't try to stop trying, that's more trying. Instead, simply assume the state where trying is unnecessary, because you already have what you desire. As we conclude tonight, let me leave you with this final truth. You are not going to get what you want. You are going to get what you are. Therefore, instead of trying to get something, be the person who already has it. Live from that assumption and watch as your world reshapes itself to match your new state of consciousness. The practice is simple, but it requires vigilance. Watch your assumptions as carefully as you would watch your step in a dangerous place. Your assumptions are creating your future right now. Remember this principle of stop trying to get it in. You'll have it is not just a technique. It's a fundamental law of consciousness. It operates whether you believe in it or not, just as gravity operates whether you believe in it or not. Go forth now, not to try but to assume, not to become but to be, not to get but to have. For in consciousness, where all creation takes place, what you assume as true is true, and what you believe you have, you have. And now, my dear friends, our discussion comes to a close. But remember, what you've heard tonight is not just information to be remembered. It's truth to be lived. Let every moment of trying become your reminder to assume. Let every appearance of lack become your opportunity to assume abundance. For in the end, it is not the trying, but the assuming that creates your world. And when you truly understand this, you will know the peace that comes from ceasing all trying and resting in the assumption of your wish fulfilled. Good night, and God bless you all. Let me share something remarkable with you. Last week, a man came to me after one of my lectures. He was successful by worldly standards, wealthy, respected, accomplished. Yet there was an emptiness in his eyes that spoke volumes. He said to me, Neville, I've achieved everything I thought I wanted, but I still don't know who I am. You see, my beloved friends, this is the greatest tragedy of human existence, to live an entire life without discovering your true identity. Most people live and die as strangers to themselves, wearing masks so long they've forgotten their true face. Tonight, I want to share with you the profound truth that has transformed countless lives. The truth that will set you free from all limitations once you truly grasp it. That truth is simply this: you are the living manifestation of God Himself, temporarily dwelling in human form. Now, I know this might sound startling to some of you. You might be thinking, Neville, surely you don't mean that literally. But I tell you, with every fiber of my being, I mean exactly that. Let me share with you why this is not blasphemy, but the very truth that Scripture has been trying to tell us. You see, when God speaks of Himself in Scripture, He uses one name above all others, that's I am. When Moses asked God His name, God replied, I am that I am. This wasn't just some mystical answer. It was the revelation of God's nature, and by extension, your nature. Think about it, my dear friends. What is the one thing you cannot deny about yourself? What is the one thing that remains constant throughout all your experiences? It is the simple awareness of being I am. Before you say I am rich or I am poor, I am successful or I am failing, there must first be this fundamental I am. This I am is God Himself, expressing as you. This is why Jesus said, I and my Father are one. He wasn't claiming something unique to Himself. He was revealing a universal truth about human identity. Let me share an experience that will help illuminate this profound truth. a lady came to me burdened with years of self-doubt and limitation. I asked her to do a simple exercise. For the next 5 minutes, I said, strip away every label you've ever accepted about yourself. Remove every role, every title, every description. What remains? At first, she was uncomfortable with this exercise. Like most people, she had built her identity on external things, her roles, her relationships, her achievements. But as she persisted, something remarkable happened. She touched that pure awareness, that simple I am, and in that moment she knew who she truly was. You see, my wonderful friends, finding out who you are is not a process of accumulating more knowledge or gathering more experiences. It's actually a process of removing everything that you are not until only your true self remains. Think of it this way. If you had a golden statue and it was covered with layers of paint, finding the gold wouldn't involve adding anything. It would involve removing the layers that hide the gold. Your true self is like that gold. It's already there, perfect and complete, hidden beneath layers of accumulated ideas about who you think you are. This is why Scripture says, be still and know that I am God. Notice it doesn't say think about God or study about God. It says be still and know. This knowing comes not through the mind, but through direct experience of your own being. Let me share with you the 3 fundamental truths about your identity that you must grasp. First truth, you are not your body. Your body is something you have, not something you are. You say my body just as you say my car or my house. Whatever you can possess cannot be what you are. Second truth, you are not your thoughts. You can observe your thoughts, which proves you are the observer, not the thoughts themselves. The true you is the awareness in which thoughts appear. Third truth, you are not your roles or your story. All these are temporary expressions, but you are the eternal expresser. These truths lead us to a profound question. If you are not your body, not your thoughts, and not your roles, then who are you? This is where we must enter into what I call the sacred silence of self-discovery. Let me share something profound that happened in my own experience. One night, alone in my room in New York City, I entered into a state of deep contemplation. As I sat there, I began to strip away every concept I had ever held about myself. Layer after layer fell away, until suddenly, and I want you to listen to this carefully, I experienced myself as pure awareness, boundless and eternal. You see, this is not just theory or philosophy. This is practical metaphysics that transforms your entire existence. Let me share with you the 3 levels of self-discovery that you must navigate to find your true identity. The first level, the outer self. This is the self that most people live and die as, the personality, the social mask, the collection of habits and patterns that we show to the world. It's like an actor so immersed in a role that he's forgotten he's acting. Let me share a perfect example. A successful doctor came to me, completely identified with his profession. His entire sense of self was wrapped up in being Dr. Smith. When he lost his license due to a false accusation, he fell into deep depression. Why? Because he had confused his role with his reality. You see, my wonderful friends, roles are necessary for the play of life, but they are not who you are. You are the actor behind every role. This brings us to our second level. The second level, the inner self. Beneath the outer personality lies what I call the inner self, the consciousness that observes all your experiences. This is closer to your true identity. But even this is not the final truth. Think about it this way. When you say I had a thought, who is the I that had the thought? When you say I had a feeling, who is the I that experienced the feeling? There must be something prior to thoughts and feelings, something that is aware of them. This is why Scripture says the kingdom of heaven is within you. It's pointing to this deeper level of self, this inner awareness that witnesses all experiences but remains untouched by them. The third level, the divine self. Now we come to the ultimate truth about your identity, what I call the divine self. This is not something to be achieved or attained. It is what you eternally are. It is the I am that never changes, never begins, and never ends. Let me share a profound technique for discovering this divine self. I call it the reverse inquiry. Instead of asking, who am I? Assume the position of pure awareness and ask, who is asking this question? Keep following this inquiry back until you reach the source of all questions. You see, my beloved friends, discovering who you are is not really a process of becoming something new. It's a process of uncovering what you eternally are. It's like the sun hidden behind clouds. The clouds may come and go, but the sun remains eternally itself. This is why Jesus said, before Abraham was, I am. He wasn't speaking of the personal Jesus, but of this eternal I am that is your true identity. You must learn to distinguish between your eternal nature and its temporary expressions. Let me share with you 3 practical exercises for discovering your true self. The first exercise, the silent witness. Throughout your day, practice being aware of being aware. Don't just experience your experiences, notice that you are the awareness in which all experiences appear. The second exercise, the sacred question. Repeatedly ask yourself, who is aware of this moment? Don't accept any verbal answer. Let the question take you deeper into pure awareness. The third exercise, the divine recognition. Whatever you experience, recognize that you are the consciousness in which it appears. You are not the passing show, but the eternal witness of the show. You see, my wonderful friends, most people spend their entire lives trying to become something, trying to achieve something, trying to gather experiences. But I tell you this, all that effort is taking you away from the simple truth of who you already are. Think about it. When you say I am, you're expressing the same I am that God expressed when He declared I am that I am. This I am is your true identity. Everything else, your personality, your achievements, your roles, these are merely costumes worn by the eternal I am. Let me share something remarkable about this truth. Once you discover who you really are, all effort ceases. You no longer need to try to become anything because you recognize that you are already everything. This is why Scripture says, be still and know that I am God. My wonderful friends, now we come to what I consider the most transformative aspect of self-discovery. The power of recognizing your true self. This is not merely an intellectual understanding, but a living experience that will revolutionize your entire existence. Let me share something profound that occurred during one of my deep meditations. I suddenly realized that everything I had seeking peace, joy, fulfillment was not something to be achieved, but something to be recognized as my very nature. This recognition, my dear friends, is what I call the ultimate revolution. You see, there's a fundamental difference between knowing something intellectually and recognizing it as your very being. Let me illustrate this with a story that perfectly captures this truth. A lion cub was raised among sheep. It bleated like a sheep, ate grass like a sheep, and thought itself to be a sheep. One day, an adult lion saw this peculiar sight and roared with laughter. The cub, frightened, tried to bleat and run away. The adult lion caught him and dragged him to a clear pool of water. For the first time, the cub saw his own reflection alongside the adult lion's. In that moment of recognition, something profound happened. The cub didn't become a lion. He recognized that he had always been one. This, my beloved friends, is exactly what must happen to you. You are not becoming God. You are recognizing that you have always been the very expression of God Himself. This is why Scripture declares, know ye not that ye are gods. Let me share with you the 3 stages of self-recognition. The first stage, the recognition of presence. Begin by recognizing that before you are anything, you are. Before you are male or female, rich or poor, successful or unsuccessful, you simply are. This pure sense of being, this I am, is your first clue to your true identity. Think about it. You never experience yourself as absent. You might experience different states, different circumstances, but you never experience your own absence. This is because you are the eternal presence in which all experiences appear. The second stage, the recognition of awareness. Now go deeper. Recognize that you are not just present, but you are aware. This awareness is not something you have, it is what you are. Everything else appears and disappears in this dareness awareness. but the awareness itself never changes. Let me share a practical exercise I call the awareness watch. Throughout your day, whenever you remember, notice that you are aware. Don't try to analyze or understand awareness. Simply recognize that you are the awareness in which everything appears. The third stage, the recognition of identity. This is the deepest recognition that this awareness, this presence, is not just a quality you possess, but is your very identity. It is the I am that God declared himself to be. You see, my wonderful friends, most spiritual seekers make a fundamental mistake. They try to reach God, try to connect with God, try to become one with God. But I tell you this, you cannot reach what you already are. You cannot connect with what you've never been separated from. You cannot become what you eternally are. Let me share with you what I call the three great illusions that prevent self-recognition. The first illusion, the illusion of separation. You believe you are separate from God, separate from your good, separate from what you desire. This is the fundamental illusion that must be dissolved through self-recognition. The second illusion, the illusion of becoming. You believe you must become something other than what you are. This keeps you perpetually seeking, never finding. The third illusion, the illusion of distance. You believe that what you seek is far away, in some distant future or place. This prevents you from recognizing what is already here, already you. Now let me share with you a profound technique for dissolving these illusions. I call it the recognition practice. Sit quietly and follow these steps. Recognize that you are aware right now. Recognize that this awareness is not something you created or achieved. Recognize that this awareness is the same awareness that God declared as I am. Recognize that you are this I am. You see, my dear friends, the scripture says, be still and know that I am God. Notice it doesn't say become God or reach God, it says no. This knowing is recognition. Let me share something remarkable about this recognition. When you truly recognize who you are, everything changes while nothing changes. The world remains exactly as it is, but your experience of it is completely transformed. Consider this profound truth. The sun doesn't need to do anything to be the sun. It doesn't need to practice being the sun or try to become a better sun. It simply is what it is, and from that natural state, it illuminates everything. In the same way, once you recognize who you really are, you no longer need to try to be anything. Your natural state is complete fulfillment, complete peace, complete joy. These are not states to be achieved, but your very nature to be recognized. Let me begin with something that happened just yesterday. A gentleman approached me after my lecture, deeply troubled. He said, Neville, I understand intellectually that I am God's perfect expression, but my daily experience shows me something entirely different. This, my wonderful friends, is the gap we must bridge, the gap between intellectual understanding and lived experience. You see, living from your true identity is not about adding anything to yourself. It's about removing the veils that hide your true nature. Let me share with you what I call the three veils of forgetfulness. The first veil, the body identity. Most people are completely identified with their body. They think I am this body. But I tell you this, you are not the body, you are the consciousness that animates the body. Your body is in you, you are not in the body. Let me share a profound exercise I call the consciousness shift. Throughout your day, whenever you remember, shift your identity from body to consciousness. Instead of thinking I am walking, recognize I am aware of walking. Instead of I am eating, recognize I am aware of eating. You see, this simple shift begins to loosen the grip of body identification. It's like stepping back from a movie screen and recognizing that you are the awareness in which the movie appears. The second veil, the thought identity. Deeper than body identification is thought identification. People believe they are their thoughts. But ask yourself this, if you are your thoughts, who is aware of the thoughts? Let me share something remarkable about thoughts. They come and go, appear and disappear. But you, the awareness in which thoughts appear, remain constant. You are not the passing clouds of thought, but the unchanging sky of awareness. Here's a practical technique I call the thought witness. Throughout your day, practice watching your thoughts without becoming involved in them. See them as clouds passing through the sky of your awareness. Don't try to change them or control them. Simply witness them. The third veil, the story identity. This is perhaps the subtlest veil, the story you tell about yourself. Your past, your failures, your successes, your relationships, all these form a story. And most people completely identify with this story. But I tell you this, you are not your story. You are the awareness in which all stories appear. This is why Scripture says, "Behold, I make all things new." When you recognize your true identity, you are free to create a new story at any moment. Now let me share with you the 3 stages of living from your true identity. The first stage, recognition throughout the day. Begin by recognizing your true nature as pure awareness throughout your daily activities. Whether you're at work, at home, or in conversation, maintain the recognition that you are not the doer, but the awareness in which doing happens. I call this the constant recognition practice. No matter what you're doing, maintain the background awareness of your true nature. Like a screen that remains unchanged, while different movies play upon it. You remain the unchanging awareness, while life's experiences flow through you. The second stage, living from wholeness. Most people live from a sense of lack, constantly trying to add something to themselves to become complete. But when you recognize your true identity, you live from wholeness. Let me share a profound truth. Everything you seek, peace, joy, love, abundance, these are not things to be achieved, but your very nature to be recognized. When you live from wholeness, you no longer seek anything because you recognize that you are everything. Here's a practical application I call the wholeness recognition. Before you begin any activity, recognize that you are already complete. You are not doing the activity to become something, you're doing it as an expression of what you already are. The third stage, divine expression. This is the highest stage of living from true identity. Here you recognize that every action, every word, every thought is not yours but God's expression through you. You see, my wonderful friends, when Jesus said, "I and my Father are one," he wasn't making a personal claim. He was declaring a universal truth about your identity. You are not a human being trying to express divinity. You are divine being expressing through human form. Let me share with you what I call the divine expression practice. Throughout your day, before any action, silently acknowledge God himself is expressing as this action through me. This transforms every mundane activity into a sacred expression. Now, let me address something crucial. Some of you might be thinking, "But Neville, if I am divine being, why do I experience limitations and problems?" This is where we must understand the difference between your true identity and your current state of consciousness. Your true identity is like the sun, eternally shining. But your state of consciousness is like the clouds that can temporarily obscure the sun. The sun hasn't changed or diminished, it's simply hidden from view. This is why Scripture says, "Put off the old man and put on the new man." The old man is your limited state of consciousness, the new man is your true identity as divine being. For you see, while your true identity never changes, your experience of life is determined by the state of consciousness you occupy. Let me share something remarkable that happened during one of my experiments with consciousness. I was in New York, physically present in my small apartment, but I had learned to occupy the state of consciousness of being in Barbados. Within weeks, against all physical evidence and probability, I found myself actually in Barbados. This, my dear friends, is the power of consciousness. You see, states of consciousness are like rooms in a vast mansion. Your true identity, the I am, is the inhabitant who can move from room to room. Let me share with you what I call the 3 levels of conscious transformation. The first level, recognition of states. Most people are completely identified with their current state. If they're in a state of lack, they believe they are lacking. If they're in a state of illness, they believe they are ill. But I tell you this, you are not the state. You are the awareness that can occupy different states. Let me share a practical technique I call the state observer. Throughout your day, practice observing your current state without identifying with it. Instead of saying I am depressed, recognize I am aware of experiencing a state of depression. This simple shift begins to free you from identification with states. The second level, movement between states. Once you recognize that you are not the state but the occupant of states, you can learn to move between them at will. This is what scripture means when it says, "In my Father's house are many mansions." Here's what I call the state shift practice. Choose a state you wish to occupy, let's say the state of abundance. First, recognize that this state already exists. You're not creating it, you're moving into it. Then ask yourself, what would I be thinking, feeling, and experiencing if I were in that state right now? You see, my beloved friends, this is not imagination as people commonly understand it. This is the actual movement of consciousness from one state to another. The outer world must then reorganize itself to match your new state. The third level, permanent transformation. This is the highest level of conscious transformation, where you learn to stabilize in higher states of consciousness. Let me share something profound about this level. Most people visit higher states occasionally, moments of peace, joy, or clarity, but they don't know how to remain there. They're like someone who visits a beautiful mansion but doesn't know they can live there permanently. I call this the divine occupation. It's the art of not just visiting but occupying divine states of consciousness. Here's how you practice it. First, choose a tuned state. Let's say the state of perfect peace. Second, recognize that this state is your natural state as divine being. Third, instead of trying to achieve peace, assume you are peace itself. Fourth, live from this assumption regardless of external circumstances. Now let me share with you what I call the 3 obstacles to transformation that you must understand and overcome. The first obstacle, mental habits. Your old patterns of thinking will try to pull you back to familiar states. This is why scripture says, "Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind." Let me share a technique I call the pattern breaker. Whenever you catch yourself in an old thought pattern, stop and ask who is aware of this pattern. This immediately shifts you back to your true identity as the awareness. The second obstacle, emotional attachments. Even when we want to change, we often have hidden attachments to our current state. This is why Jesus said, "Let the dead bury their dead." Practice what I call the emotional release. Recognize that your emotions are not you. They are experiences passing through you. You can let them go because you are the unchanging awareness in which they appear. The third obstacle, physical evidence. The physical world will continue to show you evidence of your old state while your new state is taking root. This is where most people falter. Remember this profound truth: the physical world is not the cause of your state of consciousness. It is the effect. When you maintain a new state despite contrary evidence, the evidence must change to match your state. Let me share with you the 3 laws of conscious transformation. The first law, the law of consciousness. Whatever state you occupy in consciousness, you must express and experience. The second law, the law of assumption. You become what you assume yourself to be. The third law, the law of expression. Your outer world is the expression of your inner state. My dear friends, tonight we enter into the very heart of conscious transformation, the practice of perfect states. This is where we move beyond mere understanding into the actual art of living from enlightened consciousness. Let me share something remarkable that occurred just last week. A lady came to me in deep distress about her financial situation. Instead of trying to change her circumstances, I showed her how to occupy the state of divine abundance. Within days, opportunities began appearing that she hadn't seen before. You see, it wasn't the world that changed. It was her state of consciousness. Let's explore what I call the 3 perfect states that form the foundation of enlightened living. The first perfect state, divine love. Most people think of love as an emotion or a relationship between separate beings. But I tell you this, divine love is a state of consciousness, your natural state as divine being. Let me share a profound practice I call the love recognition. Throughout your day, recognize that love is not something you feel, but what you are. Instead of trying to feel love, recognize that you are love itself expressing. You see, when Jesus said God is love, he wasn't describing a quality of God. He was describing God's very nature, which is your nature. This recognition transforms every relationship because you're no longer trying to get love or give love. You're being loved. The second perfect state, divine wisdom. Wisdom is not accumulated knowledge, but a state of consciousness that knows through direct recognition. It's what Scripture means by be still and know. Here's what I call the wisdom practice. Before making any decision, shift from thinking to direct knowing. Instead of analyzing pros and cons, enter the state of divine wisdom and let the answer reveal itself. You see, my wonderful friends, when you occupy the state of divine wisdom, you have access to all knowledge. This is why Solomon didn't ask for knowledge, he asked for wisdom, and all knowledge was included. The third perfect state, divine power. True power is not the ability to control or dominate, but the state of knowing that all power flows through you as divine expression. Let me share the power recognition practice. Throughout your day, recognize that any power you express, whether thinking, speaking, or acting, is not your personal power, but divine power expressing through you. Now, let me share with you the 3 stages of practicing perfect states. The first stage, recognition. Begin by recognizing that perfect states are not something to achieve, but your natural condition to realize. Like the sun doesn't practice shining, it simply is light. You don't need to practice perfection. You need to recognize your perfect nature. Practice what I call the perfect recognition. Throughout your day, before any activity, recognize, I am the perfect expression of divine being expressing as this activity. The second stage, occupation. This is where you learn to fully occupy perfect states regardless of external conditions. Most people let circumstances determine their state. But I tell you this, you must determine your state regardless of circumstances. Here's a profound technique I call the state occupation. Choose a perfect state, let's say divine peace. Now occupy that state completely, letting go of all resistance to current conditions. You're not trying to change conditions, you're occupying the state that will naturally transform them. The third stage, expression. This is where perfect states become your natural way of being. You no longer need to think about occupying them because you recognize they are your true nature. Let me share what I call the 3 aspects of perfect expression. First aspect, spontaneous expression. Perfect states express spontaneously without effort or planning. Second aspect, complete expression. Perfect states express completely, not partially or gradually. Third aspect, eternal expression. Perfect states express eternally, not temporarily or conditionally. Now let me address something crucial about practicing perfect states. Many people ask, but Neville, how can I maintain perfect states when the world shows me imperfection? Remember this profound truth, the world you see is the outpicturing of your state of consciousness. When you occupy a perfect state, the world must transform to match that state. This is why Scripture says, be ye perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect. Let me share with you what I call the 3 keys to maintaining perfect states. The first key, absolute recognition. Recognize that perfection is not a future achievement, but your present nature. The second key, complete acceptance. Accept your perfect nature without trying to improve or change it. The third key, natural expression. Let perfection express naturally without forcing or controlling.
I want to reveal to you why these words hold such tremendous power and how you can use them to manifest everything you've ever desired. You see, most people spend their entire life searching outside themselves for power, for permission, for validation. They believe their desires must be achieved through hard work, struggle, and external forces. But I tell you this, all power resides within your own consciousness. When you declare, I'm the power, you are acknowledging the fundamental truth of existence. You are recognizing that the force that moves the stars and grows the flowers is the same force that flows through your consciousness. Let me tell you something profound about these 4 words. When you speak them, you're not making a mere affirmation. You're declaring your true nature, your essential being. You're acknowledging the creative force within you. Consider this. Every great achievement in human history began with someone recognizing their inner power. They didn't wait for external permission. They didn't seek validation from others. They understood that all power flows from within. You see, most people have it backwards. They say, when I have this, then I will be powerful. But I tell you this, you must first assume your power, and then all things become possible. These 4 words, I am the power, are not just words to be spoken. They must be felt. They must be lived. They must become your dominant state of consciousness. Let me share with you what happens when you truly embody these words. The entire universe must reorganize itself to reflect your new self-concept. This is not metaphysics. This is law. Most of you sit here tonight thinking about what you want to manifest. But I tell you this, manifestation is not about getting something you don't have. It's about revealing what already exists within your consciousness. When you declare, I am the power, you're not creating power. You're acknowledging what has always been true. This recognition changes everything. Your entire world must shift to align with this declaration. You see, most people approach manifestation like beggars, hoping and wishing for their desires to be granted. But when you know I am the power, you approach life as a creator, knowing that what you decree must manifest. Let me share something profound about consciousness. Your consciousness is the only reality. Everything you see in your world is simply consciousness made visible. Therefore, when you declare I am the power, you're literally reshaping your entire universe. Think about this. Every morning when you wake up, you're either reinforcing your powerlessness or claiming your power. There's no neutral position. Every thought, every feeling, every assumption is either aligning with I am the power or denying it. You see, these 4 words are not just a positive affirmation. They are a recognition of the fundamental truth of your being. When you truly grasp this, manifestation becomes as natural as breathing. Most of you have been taught to look for power in external circumstances, in money, in relationships, in social status. But I tell you this, all these things are merely effects. The cause lies in your consciousness. Consider what happens when you truly know, I am the power. You no longer beg, you no longer plead, you no longer hope. You simply decree, and by law, your decree must manifest. Let me share with you why these words are so transformative. When you declare, I am the power, you're shifting your entire self-concept. You're no longer seeing yourself as a victim of circumstances, but as the creator of circumstances. You see, most people spend their lives reacting to what they see. But when you know I am the power, you understand that what you see is simply your consciousness pushed out. Therefore, to change what you see, you must change your consciousness. Think about this. Every great achievement began with someone knowing they were the power. They didn't wait for conditions to change. They changed conditions by changing their consciousness. Let me share with you what happens in the depths of consciousness when you truly embody these 4 words. Your entire world begins to reorganize itself to match your new self-concept. You see, most people believe their circumstances dictate their state of being. But when you declare, I am the power, you reverse this process. Your state of being now dictates your circumstances. Consider this. Every moment of your life, you're either expressing power or expressing limitation. There is no middle ground. When you truly grasp these 4 words, you cease giving power to external conditions. Let me tell you something profound about manifestation. When you know I am the power, you stop asking how things will manifest. You understand that the power that knows the way will make the way. Most of you sit here tonight thinking about your problems, your limitations, your obstacles. But I tell you this, these are merely shadows cast by a consciousness that has forgotten I am the power. You see, when you truly embody these 4 words, you enter a new dimension of being. In this dimension, problems don't need to be solved. They simply dissolve in the light of your consciousness. Think about this. Everything you see in your world right now is the result of your previous concepts about yourself. Change the concept by knowing I am the power, and your world must change. Let me share with you the true meaning of these words. When you declare I am the power, you're not making a positive statement. You're acknowledging your true identity. Most of you have been taught to look for causes outside yourself. But when you know I am the power, you understand that you are the only cause in your world. Consider this carefully. Every condition in your life right now is simply a shadow of your consciousness. When you truly know I am the power, you cease fighting shadows and start changing consciousness. Let me tell you about the transformative nature of these 4 words. When you declare I am the power, you're not just changing your thoughts. You're changing the very foundation of your reality. You see, most people live their entire lives believing they're victims of circumstances. But when you truly embody I am the power, you understand that circumstances are merely reflections of consciousness. Consider what happens when you wake up each morning knowing I'm the power. Suddenly, obstacles become opportunities. Problems become possibilities. Every challenge becomes a chance to demonstrate your creative power. Let me share something profound about these words. When you declare I am the power, you're not making a future promise. You're claiming a present reality. This distinction changes everything. Most of you sit here thinking about what you want to create in your future. But I tell you this, there is no future creation. There's only present assumption. When you know I am the power, you understand that what you assume now must manifest. You see, these 4 words are not just a statement. They are a complete shift in consciousness. When you truly embody them, you cease looking outside yourself for anything. Think about this. Every time you say, I can't, or it's too difficult, you're denying these 4 words. You're giving your power away to external conditions. Let me tell you what happens when you consistently maintain this consciousness. Your entire world must reshape itself to reflect your new self-concept. Most of you have spent years accumulating evidence of your limitations. But when you know I am the power, you understand that all past evidence is irrelevant. Only your present assumption matters. Consider this. Every great achievement in your life began with a shift in consciousness. When you knew you could, you did. These 4 words simply make this knowing permanent. Let me share with you something profound about these 4 words that most will never understand. When you declare I am the power, you're not just making a statement. You're activating the very force that created the universe. You see, most people spend their lives waiting for permission to be powerful. They wait for the right circumstances, the right credentials, the right moment. But I tell you this, the only permission you need is your own recognition that I am the power. Consider what happens in your world when you truly embody these words. Your relationships change because you no longer seek power from others. Your work transforms because you no longer depend on external validation. Your entire life shifts because you're operating from a new dimension of consciousness. Let me tell you about the subtle shift that occurs when you consistently maintain this state. You stop asking, when will my desire manifest? Because you understand that manifestation is not a future event. It's a present moment recognition. Most of you have been taught that power is something to be acquired. But when you declare I'm the power, you understand that power is your natural state. Everything else is learned powerlessness. You see, these 4 words challenge everything you've been taught about. Cause and effect. When you know I am the power, you understand that consciousness is the only cause and everything else is effect. Think about this. Every time you say I hope or I wish, you're denying these 4 words. You're placing power outside yourself in some future event or external circumstance. Let me share with you what happens when you maintain this consciousness consistently. Your entire world must rearrange itself to match your new self-concept. This is not theory, this is law. Most of you sit here tonight thinking about your past failures, your current limitations, your future obstacles. But I tell you this, all of these are merely shadows cast by a consciousness that has forgotten I am the power. Consider this. Every moment of your life, You're either expressing power or expressing limitation. There is no neutral ground. When you truly grasp these 4 words, you cease giving power to anything external. Let me reveal to you the deeper meaning behind these 4 words. When you declare I am the power, you're not making a casual statement. You're aligning yourself with the fundamental creative force of the universe. You see, most people live their entire lives believing that power lies in their actions, their resources, their connections. But I tell you this, all these are merely expressions of consciousness. When you know I am the power, your actions flow from this knowing. Consider what happens when you approach each day from this consciousness. You no longer wake up wondering what the day will bring. You wake up knowing that you bring to the day whatever you decree in consciousness. Let me tell you about the transformation that occurs when you live from these 4 words. You stop seeking validation from others because you understand that all validation comes from within. You stop fighting circumstances because you know that circumstances are merely shadows. Most of you have spent years trying to change effects while leaving the cause untouched. But when you declare, I am the power, you go straight to the cause, your own consciousness.
You see, these 4 words contain within them the secret of all creation. When you truly embody them, you understand that everything in your world is simply your consciousness pushed out.
Think about this. Every time you blame external conditions for your state, you're denying these 4 words. You're giving away your creative power to shadows. Let me share with you what happens when this consciousness becomes natural to you. You stop asking, how will this happen? Because you understand that the power that knows the way will make the way. Most of you sit here thinking about what's possible and what's impossible. But I tell you this, possibility and impossibility exist only in consciousness. When you know I am the power, all things become possible. Consider this. Every limitation in your life right now exists only because you've accepted it in consciousness. When you truly embody these 4 words, all limitations dissolve. Let me share with you something profound about these 4 words that will forever change how you view manifestation. When you declare I am the power, you're not just speaking words. You're awakening to your true identity. You see, most people spend their lives seeking power through achievement, through accumulation, through recognition. But I tell you this, all seeking ends when you realize that you are what you've been seeking. Consider what happens when you truly grasp these words. You stop looking for signs, you stop waiting for permission, you stop seeking approval. Because when you know I am the power, what else could you possibly need? Let me tell you about the shift that occurs in your relationships when you embody these words. You no longer need others to complete you, to validate you, to empower you. You become complete within yourself, and paradoxically, this completeness attracts more fulfilling relationships. Most of you have been taught that power comes from doing. But when you declare I'm the power, you understand that power comes from being. Your doing then flows naturally from your being. You see, these 4 words revolutionize your entire approach to manifestation. You stop trying to make things happen and start allowing them to unfold from your consciousness. Think about this. Every time you say, I'll try or I hope, you're actually denying your power. You're placing the fulfillment of your desires in some uncertain future. Let me share with you what happens. When you maintain this consciousness consistently, your entire world must reshape itself to reflect this new self-concept. This is not magic, this is law. Most of you sit here tonight thinking about what you need to do to manifest your desires. But I tell you this, manifestation is not about doing, it's about being. When you know I am the power, the doing takes care of itself. Consider this. Every great achievement in history began with someone knowing their power. They didn't wait for conditions to be perfect. They understood that conditions respond to consciousness, you see. Most people spend their lives in reaction mode, responding to circumstances, adapting to conditions. But I tell you this, when you know I am the power, you create circumstances, you determine conditions. Consider what happens when you approach each moment from this consciousness. You no longer see problems as obstacles, you see them as opportunities to demonstrate your creative power. Let me tell you about the transformation that occurs in your financial world when you embody these words. Money ceases to be something you chase and becomes something you attract through your consciousness of abundance. Most of you have been programmed to believe that success requires struggle. But when you declare, I am the power, you understand that success is simply the natural expression of your consciousness. You see, these 4 words completely transform your relationship with time. When you truly know I am the power, you cease postponing your good to some future date. Think about this. Every time you say, when I have this, then I'll be powerful, you're denying your present power. You're placing your power in external conditions. Let me share with you what happens when this consciousness becomes your natural state. Your entire experience of reality shifts. What seemed impossible becomes inevitable. Most of you sit here tonight thinking about your past failures, your present limitations, your future uncertainties. But I tell you this, all these are merely shadows cast by a consciousness that has forgotten its power. Consider this. Every moment of your life, you're either expressing power or expressing limitation. There's no middle ground. When you truly grasp these 4 words, you cease giving power to anything external. Let me share with you the final and most crucial understanding about these 4 words. When you declare, I am the power, you are making the ultimate declaration of independence from all external influences. You see, tonight marks a turning point in your life. From this moment forward, you will never again see yourself as powerless. You will never again give your power away to circumstances, to other people, or to past experiences. Consider this moment right now. As you sit here absorbing these words, you have a choice. You can continue living as you have been, seeing power as something outside yourself, or you can claim your true identity by knowing I am the power. Let me tell you what your world will look like when you fully embody these words. Everything that once seemed like an obstacle will become a stepping stone. Every challenge will become an opportunity to demonstrate your creative power. Most of you came here tonight seeking answers. But I tell you this, the only answer you need is already within you. It is the knowing, the absolute conviction that I am the power. You see, these 4 words are not just a technique or a method. They are a complete revolution in consciousness. When you truly embody them, your entire world must transform. Think about tomorrow morning when you wake up. Will you rise as the same person who came here tonight? Or will you rise knowing I am the power, ready to create your day consciously? Let me share with you this final truth. There's no power outside of you. There never was and there never will be. All power resides in consciousness, and you are that consciousness. From this moment forward, let every breath you take be a reminder that I am the power. Let every heartbeat affirm this truth. Let every step you take be from this consciousness. Remember, you are not becoming powerful. You are simply recognizing what has always been true. You are the power that creates worlds. You are the power that moves mountains. You are the power that transforms lives. Tonight, make this sacred commitment to yourself. Promise that you will never again deny your power. Promise that you will never again give your power away. Promise that you will live every moment from the consciousness that I am the power. For this promise lies your freedom. In this recognition lies your transformation. In this knowing lies everything you have ever desired. Go forth now, not as seekers, but as knowers, not as hopeful dreamers, but as conscious creators, not as victims of circumstances, but as masters. For when you know, truly know, I am the power, nothing in this world can stand against you. Nothing can deny you. Nothing can limit you. This is your moment. This is your time. This is your power. Now rise up and claim it. Rise up and live it. Rise up and be it. For you are the power. You have always been the power. And you will always be the power. Let this be your final understanding, your ultimate truth, your eternal knowing. I am the power. And so it is.
You are here because your imagination, that divine and creative force within you, has drawn you to this exact moment. Let us understand a profound truth. In all existence, there are no accidents. Every moment, every encounter, every single word you're absorbing right now was predetermined by the state of consciousness you have been occupying. Your presence here is a testament to the law that governs all things, the law of consciousness. You see, while millions walk this earth, only a select few will receive this message. Not because it's hidden, not because it's exclusive, but because only those who are ready to awaken to their true power will be drawn to it. This is the law working with mathematical precision. Consider for a moment, out of all the possible moments in time, out of all the possible messages you could be receiving, you are here now reading these words. This is not coincidence. This is consciousness expressing itself through the perfect pattern of divine timing. Now, let me share with you what I know to be true through my own experience. The very fact that you are here means you have reached a point in your spiritual evolution where you are ready to understand the deeper mysteries of existence. You are ready to grasp that which only a few will ever comprehend. Your outer world, every detail of it, is nothing more than your consciousness pushed out. The fact that you are receiving this message now is evidence that within you there exists a state of readiness, a state of spiritual receptivity that has manifested this very moment. Many will say this is too simple to be true. They will look for complexity, for difficult paths and arduous journeys. But I tell you this, the greatest truths are always the simplest. The truth that your consciousness is the only reality is so simple that most will miss it entirely. Now let me share with you why this message finds only those who are ready to receive it. You see, in this vast world, endless chatter and noise, only those who have reached a certain frequency of consciousness will be able to hear these words and understand their profound meaning. Consciousness, being the only reality, operates with perfect precision. Just as a radio must be tuned to the exact frequency to receive a particular broadcast, your consciousness had to be tuned to this exact spiritual frequency to receive this message. This is not theory, this is law. Consider for a moment, there are billions of thoughts being thought at this very instant, countless words being spoken and written. Yet you are here, your attention fixed on these specific words. This is not random. This is the law of consciousness operating with divine accuracy. I tell you with absolute certainty, your presence here is a sign that you have been prepared. Through all your past experiences, through every moment of doubt and questioning, to receive this truth. You have been led here by the God within you, that infinite creative power that is your true self. Now let us understand something fundamental about this moment. While others are seeking external solutions, running from teacher to teacher, from book to book, you have been drawn to this message because somewhere within you there is a knowing. A knowing that what you seek is not outside of you, but within. Your consciousness, that infinite creative power, has brought you to this moment because you are ready to step into a new dimension of understanding. While others sleep in the dream of externalization, you are being awakened to the truth that all power lies within your own wonderful human imagination. Many will read these words and dismiss them, returning to their sleep of mortality. But you who have been chosen by your own higher self to receive this message, will recognize the ring of truth in these words. You will feel the stirring of remembrance in your soul. The very fact that these words resonate with something deep within you is proof that you are among the few who are ready to awaken from the dream of limitation. While others continue to worship at the altar of external power, you are being called to recognize the God within. Now let us delve deeper into why this particular moment holds such significance. You see, in the infinite sea of possibilities, your consciousness has drawn you to these words because you are ready to understand the magnitude of what I am about to share. This message is not meant for the masses, not because they are excluded, but because they are not yet ready to comprehend the profound simplicity of what I am sharing. They are still asleep in the dream of external causation, still believing that their reality is something happening to them rather than from them. Consider this, out of all the moments in time, out of all the possible messages you could be receiving, your consciousness has orchestrated this precise encounter. This is not chance. This is divine law expressing itself through the perfect pattern of your awakening consciousness. I tell you with absolute certainty, the very fact that you find yourself drawn to these words is evidence of your spiritual readiness. While others chase shadows in the external world, you have been prepared to receive the truth that all creation begins within. Now let me share something that few will understand, but you will recognize as truth. Your presence here, reading these words, is not separate from your desire to understand the deeper mysteries of existence. Your desire and its fulfillment are one, happening in the eternal now. Most people will continue to believe that their desires are separate from their fulfillment, that there must be a gap in time between wanting and receiving. But you who have been drawn to this message, are ready to understand that desire and fulfillment are one, separated only by our consciousness of lack. You see, while others spend their lives waiting for something to happen to them, you are being awakened to the truth that everything happens from you. Your consciousness is the only reality, and everything you experience is simply your consciousness pushed out into the world of shadows we call physical reality. The fact that you continue to resonate with these words is proof that you are among the chosen few who are ready to step into their divine inheritance, not chosen by any external force, but chosen by your own expanded consciousness, your own readiness to receive this truth. Now let me reveal to you why this message finds only those who are prepared to receive it. In all of creation, there exists a perfect law that brings the seeker to the truth precisely when they are ready to embrace it. Not a moment before, not a moment after. You see, while millions chase after material success and external validation, you have been drawn to these words because something within you, that divine spark of awareness, recognizes a deeper truth. Your consciousness has expanded to the point where you can receive what I am about to share. Consider this profound truth. In this very moment, countless individuals are seeking answers. Yet only a precious few will encounter this message. This is not because the truth is hidden, but because consciousness must be prepared to receive it. Just as a seed must be ready before it can sprout, consciousness must be ripened before it can embrace higher truth. I tell you with absolute certainty, your presence here is no accident. In the infinite wisdom of divine law, you have been brought to this exact moment because you are ready to step into a new dimension of understanding. While others remain caught in the web of external causes, you are being awakened to the truth that all causes lie within. Now let us understand something that few will ever grasp, but that you will recognize as truth. The very fact that you are receiving this message is evidence that within you exists a state of consciousness that is ready to transcend the limitations of conventional thinking. You are ready to step into the awareness that your imagination is God in action within you. Most will continue to seek their good in the world of effects, never realizing that all effects spring from the one cause, consciousness. But you who have been drawn to these words, are ready to understand that consciousness is the only reality, and all else is merely its shadow. You see, while the masses continue to pray to a God outside themselves, you are being awakened to the truth that the kingdom of heaven is within you. Your consciousness is that kingdom, and your imagination is the God power operating within it. Now let me share with you something that very few will ever understand, yet you will recognize its truth in the depths of your being. The fact that you continue reading these words is testament to a spiritual readiness that has been cultivated through countless states of consciousness. You see, while the masses remain hypnotized by the shadow world of effects, believing that what they see is what creates their reality, you have been prepared to receive the reverse of this truth. Everything you see, everything you experience is preceded by a state of consciousness that you have occupied. Consider this. At this very moment, billions of people are engaging with countless different messages, yet you are here, your attention fixed on these words. This is not chance, not coincidence, but the perfect operation of divine law. Your consciousness has drawn you to exactly what it needs for its next level of unfoldment. I tell you with complete conviction, the very fact that these words resonate within you is proof that you have reached a level of spiritual maturity that few attain in a single lifetime. While others chase after effects, you are being guided to understand the one and only cause, consciousness itself. Now, let us delve deeper into why this message finds so few ready recipients. You see, human mind is conditioned to seek complexity. To believe that spiritual truth be difficult to attain must require years of study and practice. But I tell you this, the deepest truths are so simple that most will miss them entirely. Most will continue to believe that their good must come from something or someone external to themselves. They will continue to worship at the altar of circumstances, never realizing that circumstances are merely the shadow cast by their own state of consciousness. But you who have been drawn to this message are ready to step into a new understanding. You see, while others spend their lives trying to change effects, you are being awakened to the truth that only cause can be changed, and that cause is your own wonderful human imagination. Your consciousness is the only reality, and all phenomena are simply consciousness expressed. Now, let me reveal to you something so profound, yet so simple, that most minds will reject it outright. The very moment you are experiencing now, reading these words, was created by a state of consciousness you occupied before you even knew of this message's existence. You see, while the world speaks of coincidence and chance, you are being awakened to understand that every moment is orchestrated by the law of consciousness with mathematical precision. There are no accidents in a universe governed by law, and your presence here is evidence of this truth. Consider this eternal principle: consciousness is the only reality, and everything else is an effect of consciousness. The fact that so few will receive this message is not because it is hidden, but because consciousness must first be prepared to receive it. Like a radio must be tuned to the right frequency, consciousness must be tuned to the frequency of truth. I tell you with absolute authority, your ability to understand and accept what I am sharing comes not from intellectual capacity, but from spiritual readiness. While millions remain caught in the hypnosis of materialism, you have been prepared through countless experiences to receive this revelation. Now let us understand why this message appears to so few. In the infinite wisdom of divine law, truth reveals itself only to those who have developed the consciousness to receive it. This is not exclusivity. This is the perfect operation of spiritual law. Most will continue to believe that life is happening to them, that they are victims of circumstances, never realizing that circumstances are merely consciousness objectified. But you who resonate with these words, are ready to step into the awareness that you are the operant power in your world. You see, while others pray to a God they believe exists somewhere outside themselves, you are being to the truth that God is your own wonderful human imagination. This is why so few will receive this message, because they are not yet ready to accept their own divinity. The very fact that you continue to read these words, that they strike a chord of recognition within you, is evidence that you have evolved beyond the mass consciousness of victimhood. You are ready to assume your rightful place as a conscious creator of your reality. Now, let me share with you a truth so fundamental yet so revolutionary that it will completely transform your understanding of reality. The very act of your consciousness engaging with these words is creating ripples in the fabric of your existence that will manifest in ways you cannot yet imagine. You see, while the vast majority of humanity believes that their future is determined by their past, you are being awakened to the glorious truth that your future is determined by your present state of consciousness. This is why so few will receive this message, because they are still bound by the chains of past-based thinking. Consider the profound implications of what I am telling you. In this very moment, as you absorb these words, you are literally selecting from infinite possibilities the exact experiences that will manifest in your world. Your consciousness is not just receiving information, it is creating reality. I tell you with unwavering certainty, the fact that you are drawn to this deeper understanding is evidence that you have outgrown the limited consciousness of the masses. While others remain trapped in the belief of external causation, you are ready to assume your role as the cause of all causes in your world. Now let us delve deeper into why this message reaches so few. The natural man, living in the world of effects, cannot comprehend that everything in their experience is simply consciousness externalized. They seek causes in the outer world, never realizing that the outer world is simply consciousness made visible. Most will continue to believe that their consciousness is an effect of their circumstances, never grasping the eternal truth that their circumstances are an effect of their consciousness. But you who have been drawn to these words by the law of divine selection, are ready to reverse this understanding. You see, while the masses chase after effects, trying to change their world by manipulating external conditions, you are being awakened to the truth that only consciousness can be changed. And when consciousness changes, all else must change with it. This is the law. The very fact that these words continue to resonate within you is proof that you have evolved beyond the mass hypnosis of materialism. You are ready to step into the awareness that your consciousness is the one and only reality. Now, let me reveal to you why this moment carries such profound significance in your spiritual evolution. While millions sleepwalk through their existence, accepting the illusion of external causation, you have been drawn to this message by the law of divine timing that governs all manifestation. You see, consciousness operates with perfect precision, bringing to each soul exactly what it needs at the precise moment it is ready to receive it. The very fact that you are engaging with these words now is evidence that your consciousness has expanded to the point where it can grasp these deeper truths. Consider what this means. Out of all the infinite possibilities that exist in any given moment, your consciousness has drawn you to this exact message. This is not chance, not coincidence, but the perfect operation of spiritual law. While others remain caught in the web of random events, you are awakening to the truth that nothing is random. I tell you with absolute conviction, your presence here, your ability to comprehend and resonate with these words is proof that you have reached a level of spiritual maturity that few attain. While the masses continue to seek their good in the world of effects, you are ready to operate from the world of cause. Now let us understand something that the rational mind might reject, but your soul will recognize as truth.
The very consciousness that drew you to this message is the same consciousness that creates and sustains the entire universe.
There is no separation, no division, all is one consciousness diversely expressed. Most will continue to believe that they must wait for something external to change their lives, never realizing that the waiting itself is the very state that perpetuates their current conditions. But you who have been drawn to these words by divine law, are ready to step into the awareness that waiting is unnecessary because everything exists now in consciousness. You see, while others spend their lives trying to make things happen, you are being awakened to the truth that nothing needs to happen. Everything already is in consciousness, and your task is simply to occupy the state of consciousness that corresponds to your desire. You see, while the masses remain focused on the world of shadows, what they can see, touch, and measure, you are being awakened to the truth that all tangible reality is merely consciousness crystallized into form. This is why so few will receive this message, because they are not yet ready to accept that consciousness precedes all manifestation. Consider this eternal truth in this very moment. As these words penetrate your consciousness, you are literally rearranging the entire universe. Not the universe of effects that appears so solid and real, but the true universe of consciousness from which all effects spring forth. I tell you with complete authority, your presence here, your continued resonance with these words, is not a matter of choice as the world understands choice. It is the perfect unfoldment of a state of consciousness you entered when you were ready to receive higher truth. Now let us delve deeper into why this message finds so few ready recipients. The natural mind, conditioned by centuries of materialistic thinking, cannot grasp that everything in the visible world is simply consciousness pushed out. They seek causes in effects, never realizing that all effects proceed from the one cause, consciousness itself. Most will continue to believe that their thoughts and feelings are a reaction to their world, never grasping the eternal truth that their world is a reaction to their thoughts and feelings. But you who have been drawn to this message by divine law, are ready to assume your place as the conscious operator of this law. You see, While others remain trapped in the belief that time is a linear progression from past to future, you are being awakened to the truth that all time exists simultaneously in consciousness. The past you remember and the future you anticipate are both present now in your consciousness. Now, as we draw this divine revelation to its completion, understand this final truth, that even this ending is but a new beginning in consciousness. The very fact that you have remained attentive through these revelations is testament to your spiritual readiness. You see, while others may have found these words too abstract, too removed from what they consider practical reality, you have recognized the ultimate practicality of operating from the one and only cause, consciousness itself. This understanding sets you apart from the masses who continue to live in effect. Remember this: the message you have received today will continue to unfold within your consciousness, revealing deeper and deeper layers of truth as you are ready to receive them. For truth, like consciousness itself, is infinite in its expression. I tell you this with finality: you were not drawn to this message to simply hear words, but to experience an awakening of the God power within you. From this moment forward, you will never again see the world through the eyes of the natural man, for you have been initiated into the mysteries of consciousness. Know this: as you read this message, you are not the same being who began reading it. Your consciousness has been altered, expanded, lifted to a new level of understanding. While others may forget what they read moments after reading it, these truths will continue to work in your consciousness, transforming your entire world. For you are among the few who have been prepared to receive this wisdom, to understand that your consciousness is the only reality, and that all else is simply consciousness made visible. This is not the end of your journey, but rather the true beginning of your conscious creation. Go forth now, knowing that you have been chosen by your own expanded consciousness to receive these truths. Let them work in you, through you, as you are not separate from these principles. You are these principles in operation. And remember, this message found you because you were ready to receive it. Your consciousness drew it to you with the same precision that governs the movement of planets and the blooming of flowers. You are that power, that law, that consciousness made manifest. For those who have ears to hear, let them hear. For those who have eyes to see, let them see. And for you who have been prepared to receive this truth, let this understanding transform every aspect of your being. For consciousness is all there is, and you are that consciousness individualized. And now, in the eternal now where all creation takes place, we conclude this message, knowing that in consciousness there is no conclusion, only eternal unfoldment of that which already is.
How long does it take to become a millionaire? The world will tell you. Years of hard work, smart investments, blood, sweat, and tears. But I am not here to repeat what the world has taught you. I am not here to echo the outer voices of limitation and logic. I am here to speak to the God within you, the imagination that is Christ in action. I am here to speak to your spirit, and your spirit does not recognize time as man does. It does not bow before circumstances. It creates them. To be a millionaire in 12 days is not a trick, nor is it a deception. It is not a formula that requires charts or business plans. It is a revelation, a remembering. You do not become a millionaire in 12 days. You awaken to the reality that you already are one. The 12 days is not for the world to show you proof. It is for you to accept it, to assume it, to embody it. Let me ask you this. What would you feel if you knew that 12 days from now, you would have $1 million in your account? Not might have it. Not if you worked hard or strategized. No. What would you feel if it was already done? Would your breathing change? Would your shoulders relax? Would you walk into the world differently? Would you sleep more soundly? Yes, you would. Because the consciousness of wealth carries a certain tone, a certain texture. It vibrates differently. You must tune into that vibration, not by doing more, but by assuming more. 12 days is not a countdown to some miracle that needs to be built. It is a window for you to rest in the state of your wish fulfilled, to imagine lavishly, to feel intensely, to embody joyfully. You see, the outer world is always reflecting the inner state. always. If the inner man feels poor, abandoned, undeserving, then the world will continue to show him evidence of that feeling. But if the inner man becomes rich, if he dares to walk, speak, sleep, and exist from the state of wealth, then wealth must appear. It must. The law is impersonal. It does not care whether you are worthy or not. It does not measure your goodness or badness. It only reflects what you are conscious of being. And if you are conscious of being a millionaire without contradiction, without doubt, without trying, then so you shall be. Let us not waste these 12 days looking for how. Let us not occupy the mind with what ifs. And but how will it come? That is not your concern. That is not your job. You are not here to solve the mystery of manifestation. You are here to feel it as real, to enter the scene and live from it, not towards it. Close your eyes. Imagine this with me. Feel the weight of the world lifted because now you no longer chase money. It flows to you like breath. See the balance in your account. Touch it with your inner senses. Feel the texture of the life that you would be living right now if you were truly fully a millionaire. Not tomorrow, not one day, now. Hear the way people speak to you now that your wealth is revealed. Hear their congratulation. Feel the handshake of success. Feel the warm satisfaction in your chest as you sit in the silence and know it is done. Do not ask for proof. Proof is the enemy of the miraculous. The moment you demand evidence before belief, you chain yourself to the visible and deny the invisible, which is the source of all things. Faith is seeing with the inner eye, believing in the unseen so powerfully that the seen must shift. 12 days of faithful assumption is all it takes. But assumption must be consistent. It must become your dwelling place, not a quick visit, not a fleeting affirmation, but a home, a place you return to each moment, a state you wear like a second skin. So for 12 days you will not try to become a millionaire. You will be one. Even if your current reality laughs at you, even if the bills pile up, or the account is low, or others call you delusional. Ignore it all. These are shadows of past beliefs. They have no power unless you give it to them. Pay them no mind. Speak only to your inner man and say to him, you are rich now, not later, now. Every time you doubt, return to the scene. Re-enter it with feeling, not forcefully, not with strain, but gently, lovingly. It is your inheritance, after all. It is not something you must earn. It is something you already possess within you. Do not seek to manifest the money. Seek to become the version of yourself who already has it. And once you are that version in consciousness, the outer must bow. Think of yourself as an actor who has been cast in the role of the millionaire. You are not pretending. You are embodying. You move through the world as that character, not because you are faking it, but because you are it. In the quiet hours of the morning when the world still sleeps, you will rehearse your wealth, not in words alone, but in feeling. You will lay in bed and say to yourself, how wonderful it feels to be free, to be abundant, to never worry again. And then you will drift in that feeling. Let it saturate your bones. Throughout the day, you will not contradict your assumption. If worry arises, smile. Say that no longer belongs to me. That was the old man. I am new now. If fear creeps in, affirm. It is done. Gently, kindly. You are training your imagination to obey you, not the world. You are not trying to manifest $1 million. You are stepping into the dimension where it is already yours. And believe me, that dimension exists. All possibilities exist. Every version of you is alive now. The version that is broke, the version that is struggling, and the version that is a multimillionaire with ease. You choose which one to animate with your attention. So choose. Now, the God within you, the imagination, is waiting on you to command, to decree, to define yourself, not by facts, but by faith. On day one you assume, you declare, I am now wealthy. I am now a millionaire. You do not explain it. You do not beg for it. You assume it. Day two you feel the reality more intensely. You start walking differently. You take care of your body, your space, your mind as one who is wealthy. By day three, you begin to see shifts, not necessarily in your bank account, but in your state. You are more calm, more generous, more magnetic. On day four you may be tested. The world might show you contradiction. Laugh. Smile. Say that was the old reflection. The new is coming. Day 5. The inner vision sharpens. You begin to believe not just mentally but viscerally. Day 6. Synchronicities begin. Conversations, opportunities, ideas. They seem to appear out of nowhere, but you know they are echoes of your inner world. Day 7. Your confidence blooms. You do not chase, you attract. You do not fear, you expect. Day 8. You may feel a wobble. That is okay. Do not resist. Just return to the scene, the feeling, the truth. It is done. By day 9, you speak like a millionaire, not arrogantly but peacefully. There is power in your tone. Day 10. Someone offers something, a gesture, a gift, a sign. Do not dismiss it. Receive it as proof that your assumption is working. Day 11. The external begins to bow. People notice. You are different. And on day 12 you wake up, not surprised but fulfilled, because it has become natural, normal, yours. Now let me be clear. The money may appear within 12 days, or just after. It may come as cash, or opportunity, or inspiration. But the timing is not your concern. The manifestation is not your job. Your job is to remain faithful, to feel it real, to assume it done. There are no limits, only the ones you accept. When you say 12 days is not enough, you have sealed your fate. But when you say 12 days is more than enough, for God needs only one moment, you have invited the miracle in. God is not out there. He is within you as your wonderful human imagination. He hears your every assumption, your every belief, and what you assume you become. What you feel you attract. What you dwell in you create. So dwell in wealth, dwell in ease, dwell in overflow. Let the world catch up later. You are not here to follow the rules of men. You are here to create new laws from within. And the only law that matters is this. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, and live from it. That is all. When you close your eyes tonight, do not fall asleep with worry. Fall asleep with gratitude. Gratitude for the million that is already yours. Feel the relief, the thrill, the awe. Then sleep in that feeling. As you wake, do not grab your phone to check the world. Check in with your inner world. Ask yourself, am I still in the state? And if not, return. It only takes one moment of full acceptance to shift your entire world. One moment where you say, I am this now, and mean it. 12 days of faithful imagining. 12 days of mental discipline. 12 days of emotional embodiment. That is all it takes. And if you can remain loyal to your assumption, no matter what appears, then the outer must conform. It is law. So I leave you with this charge. For 12 days dare to forget the world. Dare to feel it real. Dare to assume boldly. And watch how the unseen becomes seen. How the impossible becomes obvious. You are already a millionaire in the only place that matters, in consciousness. Now live from that truth, and the world will rearrange itself in divine time. And when the 12th day comes, you will no longer be surprised, because you knew it all along. It is done. It is complete within you. The outer world now has no choice but to echo back your inner truth. And yet you do not wait with anxious eyes. You wait with the calm certainty of one who has planted a seed and trust the laws of nature to bring it forth. You do not dig it up every hour to check for progress. You rest. You relax into the knowing, and that knowing is your wealth. There is a sacred power in your stillness, in your refusal to react to the old world, in your refusal to be moved by appearances. For those 12 days and beyond, you become unshakable. You become like the mountain, unmoved by the wind. The world tries to convince you that you are not yet wealthy, and you smile, not from arrogance, but from inner assurance. You simply reply in consciousness, too late, I already became it. That is the secret. Once you become it within, the world must mirror it. It has no choice. It is bound to the law, just as surely as a reflection must change when the image before the mirror changes. Your only task is to maintain the image, maintain the assumption, the scene, the feeling. You are not reacting anymore. You are initiating, creating, commanding. Every day, every hour, every breath, you are returning to the inner state of wealth, and dwelling there, not visiting. It gets easier. With each passing day, the assumption becomes less effort, and more nature. It begins to take root, and from that root, the fruits will spring forth. Yes, you may receive an unexpected payment. Yes, you may have a business idea or opportunity appear seemingly out of nowhere. But remember, it is not out of nowhere. It is from the inner world. It came because you aligned. It came because you aligned. It came because you assumed. People will ask you, how did it happen so fast? And you will say, because I stopped trying to become and I simply became. You didn't hustle harder. You didn't wait longer. You believed deeper. You surrendered the outer struggle and chose inner certainty. You will find yourself no longer chasing money, because money begins to chase you. It seeks you out. It is drawn to your vibration. For wealth is not attracted to effort. It is attracted to identity. And your identity is now clear. You are wealthy, you are rich, you are a millionaire in consciousness, and therefore soon to be informed. Now listen closely. Never go back to the old state, not even for a moment. For the old man, the version of you who worried, who doubted, who begged, he is gone, buried. Let him stay buried. Do not resurrect him with fear or frustration. The new man has risen, and he lacks nothing. You may walk into stores now and feel different, not because you are showing off, but because you are now walking in alignment with abundance. You may speak differently, not because you are faking it, but because you are now speaking the language of the fulfilled. Every gesture becomes sacred. Every thought becomes deliberate. You now understand that money was never the goal. It was a byproduct, a symbol of alignment. And now that you are aligned, it flows freely. 12 days from now, you will not only see evidence, you will become evidence. You will stand as proof that the law works, that imagination creates reality, that the unseen is more powerful than the seen. You will inspire others, not with effort, but with embodiment, not with what you do, but with who you are. You will no longer ask, how long will it take? Instead you will say, it already happened. I am simply watching the world reveal it. You will smile when people ask what your secret is, and you will whisper what the mystics have always known. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, and that's all. 12 days, 12 steps, 12 moments of surrender, and then the world shifts, and the mirror smiles back, because you remembered who you are, and who you are is already enough. You were never meant to struggle, to strive endlessly for some distant reward. The riches you seek were planted within you from the very beginning, waiting, simply waiting, for you to awaken, not to earn them, but to accept them. There is no external gatekeeper, no authority outside of you holding the keys to your fortune. The key has always been in your hand, hidden in plain sight. It is imagination, it is assumption, it is the silent inner knowing, that what you feel deeply and consistently will become the shape of your life. These 12 days are not about rushing the universe. They are not a race. They are a sacred passage, a focused devotion, a chosen intimacy with the feeling of wealth. Day by day, you are simply peeling away the layers of doubt, of conditioning, of false modesty, until only truth remains. And the truth is, you were born wealthy, you were born powerful, you were born to command, not to beg. When you finally drop the idea that wealth must come from doing, then you open yourself to receive from being. And being is the most magnetic force in the universe. Being is not loud, it does not shout, it whispers, I am, and the universe obeys. Let yourself be still and know that all that you are imagining is real. Let yourself hear the echo of your wealth long before the world plays the sound. Let yourself believe without proof, trust without evidence, and give thanks before any sign. Gratitude before evidence is the mark of the awakened creator. Give thanks now, not because you want to attract more, but because you already have it. Give thanks for the abundance that is moving toward you, because you have finally stopped chasing and started receiving. Imagine now that you are in a space where every desire is met with ease. You walk into a room, and you are the energy of generosity. You no longer ask, how can I get, but what can I give? Not out of lack, but from the overflow, from the cup that runs over. You will notice that money is no longer a thing to fear or protect. It is a current that flows through you. It touches you and blesses others through you. It becomes a servant to your vision. In this state of consciousness, you are never desperate. You are never chasing. You are resting in knowing. The phone may ring with good news. A deal may close. An idea may bloom. But you won't be surprised. You'll smile with the inner voice that says, of course, that's just how it works. You are walking through a different world now. Others won't understand. That's all right. They do not need to. You are not here to convince them. You are here to live it. When they ask, because they will. You will not give them steps or secrets. You will speak in the language of the soul. You will say, I saw it first within. I felt it. I assumed it. And the rest followed. They will ask again, but how did you make $1 million in 12 days? And you will say, because I stopped waiting for it and began living from it. Because when you assume something so deeply that it becomes natural, inevitable, unconscious, that is when the miracle arrives, not as a thunderbolt from the sky, but as a natural outcome, a quiet unfolding. It is not magic, it is law. The law does not discriminate, it does not delay, it does not punish, it reflects. That's all it does. So what will you reflect for the next 12 days? Will you reflect scarcity and wait to feel rich? Or will you reflect wealth now and watch as the universe molds itself around your feeling? You don't need more time. You need more presence, more belief, more certainty in the unseen. And if at any point you falter, return to the silence, return to the state, close your eyes and see it again, feel it again, speak it again. This is not repetition, it is creation. You are creating yourself anew, and when the 12th day arrives, the shift may be so natural, so seamless, that you won't even remember the day it began. It will feel as though you've always been this version of you, because in truth you have. You just forgot, and now, you remember. You remember that everything you've ever desired has been waiting on the other side of your assumption. You remember that wealth was never something to chase, it was something to claim. You remember that the state of being precedes the state of having, and that by shifting the feeling within, the outer world bows in response. And as you walk through these 12 days, not in effort, but in embodiment, you will find yourself smiling for no reason at all. That's how you know it's working. When joy arises without evidence, when peace replaces panic, when your heart whispers, I have it, even if the outer world says otherwise. Because now, your outer world is not your God, your imagination is. You trust the invisible more than the visible. You trust the scene behind your eyelids more than the numbers in your bank account. You've crossed the line that separates the reactive from the creative. You've stepped into authorship, and the author writes boldly. You will write your days differently now. You will move through life as if the million is already there, not to prove anything, but because you truly feel it. And when you feel something as real, life mirrors it back, not because you've earned it, but because you've embodied it. 12 days becomes your consecrated space, a sacred experiment, a contract between you and the unseen forces that obey your dominant feeling. And every moment within those 12 days becomes an opportunity to choose, again and again, the state of already having. You'll begin to notice your speech changing. You'll say things like, I always have more than enough, or everything I touch turns to gold. And you'll feel it not as hopeful affirmations, but as statements of fact. You'll catch yourself dreaming bigger, acting freer, giving more generously. And all the while, the world will begin to yield. Doors that were closed will crack open. Opportunities that were hidden will reveal themselves. Ideas that seemed distant will flood your mind with clarity. Because you no longer match the frequency of lack, you now match the tone of abundance. And here is the beautiful irony. By day 12, it will no longer be about the million. It will be about the self you've become. The free, bold, radiant, limitless self, who finally said yes to their true identity. You'll look back and realize the money was never the goal. It was the permission slip, the catalyst, the mirror. And now, standing in your wealth, not just in your bank, but in your soul, you'll realize you can never go back. Because once the soul has remembered, it does not forget. Once you've tasted the power of assumption, the beauty of conscious creation, you can never again believe in limitation the way you once did. You'll chuckle at your old fears. You'll smile at the memory of how tightly you once held on to doubt. Because now you know, you don't have to hustle. You don't have to beg. You don't have to wait. You just have to be. And being is enough to bend reality. Being is enough to create millions. Being is enough to change everything. So you let go. You let go of the timelines, the doubts, the questions. You let go of the need to understand how it will come. Because now you dwell in the feeling, and the feeling is your guide. You walk with a new kind of confidence. Not loud, not boastful, but still, certain. Like the ocean that moves with its own rhythm, untouched by storms above. The world around you may still appear the same on the surface for a moment, but inside, you know everything has changed. The blueprint has shifted. The inner construction is complete, and soon the outer world must match it. Just as surely as a tree must grow from the seed that has been planted. That is the law. This is not hope. This is not daydreaming. This is creation. For 12 days, you choose not to react to what is. You choose to respond only to what you have accepted as true. You live not from your five senses, but from your sixth, your imagination. You act as if, speak as if, feel as if you are already what you desire to be. And the more you do this, the easier it becomes. It turns from effort to ease, from ritual to rhythm. You begin to notice that the need to manifest fades, not because you gave up, but because you finally received. You stepped out of seeking and into having. And in this state of having, everything unfolds. It does not matter if others understand. It does not matter if they see nothing changing at first. They do not have to. They are not your source. Your reality is shaped by your consciousness alone. The moment you allow their opinions to become your truth, you step out of your power. But now you no longer seek approval. You no longer wait for confirmation. You live in the knowing, and this knowing becomes your shield. It becomes your compass. It becomes your new home. Now you walk into every room with the quiet poise of a millionaire, not because of a number in the bank, but because of the wealth you carry in your state of being. You no longer have to force anything. You no longer chase. You attract by nature. Ideas come, people come, opportunities arise, and still you don't get excited from desperation. You smile, because you understand. This is just the natural unfolding of what you already accepted within. You begin to see life as play, not pressure. You begin to relax into receiving, and the more you relax, the more flows in. The 12 days become your initiation into a new dimension of self, a dimension where wealth is your identity, not your goal. And once you step into identity, everything shifts to accommodate it. You don't speak about becoming. You speak from being. You don't visualize to attract. You visualize to remember. You don't affirm to convince yourself. You affirm because you are already convinced. And so I leave you with this truth. You do not become a millionaire in 12 days. You awaken to the millionaire you already are. It is not about chasing money, chasing success, or proving anything to anyone. It is about remembering who you are, assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled, and living from that state without question, without compromise. Let the world watch and wonder. Let logic protest. Let time try to convince you to wait. But you remain in the state. You stay faithful. You hold the vision, because when you feel it as real, persistently, confidently, unapologetically, the world must rearrange. That is the law, and the law never fails. In 12 days, you will not be surprised. You will simply be aligned. Wealth will no longer be a dream. It will be your normal, because you dared to feel it first. So now walk boldly in the direction of your assumption. Speak as the millionaire. Think as the millionaire. Think as the millionaire. Sleep as the millionaire. And rise each morning, not waiting, but already having. You are no longer seeking riches. You are radiating them, and the entire universe will rise to meet the truth you've dared to live. It is done.
Win the lottery? How many times have you dreamed of it? How many times have you silently, secretly wished for a sudden windfall? What if I told you that the secret to winning the lottery is not about numbers or strategy, not about luck or chance, but about a very simple, very profound act. An act you must do once and then do nothing more. Yes, just listen once, and everything changes. Many come to me asking, how do I win the lottery? What must I do? And I tell them, do not do anything outside of this one thing. For in the mystical law that governs all things, doing more only reveals your doubt, your impatience, and your desire for control. This law is not a mathematical formula, it is a spiritual truth. It is the truth that your imagination is God, and God is your very being. When you say, I want to win the lottery, your mind naturally races to actions. You want to buy a ticket. You want to pick numbers. You want to try this strategy or that system. But all of this is outer action, born from a mind unaware of the power it holds within. The true lottery winning happens in the invisible, in the silent realm of your mind, where the seed of your desire is planted and nurtured. To win the lottery, you must first understand one thing. The external world is a mirror of your inner state. It is not the numbers, the machines, or the random draws that bring your winning ticket to life. It is your assumption, your feeling, your inner conviction. When you assume the feeling of having won, the world outside conforms to that assumption. The winning ticket, the call that you have won, the sudden influx of abundance, all come to you because you are already living in that state within. This is not wishful thinking.
This is not pretending or fantasy. This is the conscious use of your creative power. You must hear this deeply. You already possess the winning ticket in the realm of imagination. Your inner being holds it as a fact. Your task is simply to align yourself to that state, to feel as if you have already won, and to do nothing else. This is the act of faith. Now you might ask, how do I align myself to that state? You listen. Yes, you listen to the voice of your imagination. You listen to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. You listen to the inner whisper that says, I am the winner. But you do this once, not repeatedly, not obsessively, but once with full conviction. You may wonder, why only once? Because when you persist in doubt and repetition, you are throwing yourself back into the realm of uncertainty. The lottery, like all things, answers the feeling impressed upon it. When you listen once, with the fullness of your heart, you plant a seed. This seed, nurtured by the assumption that you have already won, grows unseen and unseen only by your senses. Listening once is an act of total acceptance and surrender. It is a sacred moment when you stop trying, stop doubting, and let your inner reality take form. You do not need to act outside of this, because the outer will follow the inner inevitably. The lottery win is not something you chase. It is something you allow. It comes because your inner world is ripe for it. Picture this. Now close your eyes. Imagine the announcement, the phone call, the moment you realize you have won the lottery. Feel the joy, the relief, the excitement coursing through your body. Taste it, smell it, hear the voice that confirms it. Do not think about how or when. Do not concern yourself with the mechanics. Just be in the state of having won. This is the one moment you must listen to. This moment carries all the power. Once you have done this, once you have felt this in your imagination, your job is to do nothing. You do not ask, you do not fret, you do not seek confirmation. You simply live as if the lottery win is your reality. You carry the feeling as if it is true. In this act, you become the cause, and the effect must follow. Your external world will rearrange itself. Your winning ticket will appear, or the number will be called, or the circumstances will come together. But never because you chased it, because you believed it, and then let it be. Do you realize the great paradox? The lottery, an event seemingly so random and outside your control, is actually the most personal and intimate experience of your belief. It is the divine mechanism of your own creation. The numbers, the draw, the winning, these are but reflections of the invisible state you cultivate. I want you to know this: there is no lottery win outside of your consciousness. The physical ticket is meaningless without the feeling of the win. You may hold a ticket and never win because your imagination never accepted the win. Conversely, you may feel you have won before the ticket even exists, and the outer world will provide the proof. This is the principle Neville Goddard taught. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Your imagination creates reality. It is your living, breathing power. When you listen once, with full faith, you enter the state where your desire is no longer a future hope, but a present fact. And why do you do nothing after? Because doing more is doing less. Because action born from impatience and doubt destroys the fertile soil of your assumption. Because the universe is already working on your behalf. You need only be still, silent, and knowing. This stillness is the secret. It is the power behind every miracle. It is the space where your imagination meets reality. When you become still, when you no longer fight or chase, your vision becomes so clear, so real, that it draws to itself all that is necessary. You might say, but I want to be sure. And I say, the surety is in your feeling, not in the external world. Trust the inner knowing that the lottery win is yours. Trust the feeling that you already hold it. Trust this once, and then rest in the quiet. The more you chase external evidence, the more you affirm the lack. The more you try to force the outcome, the more you block the natural flow. The lottery win is a perfect example of the law of assumption in motion. Understand this well. The law does not discriminate. It does not matter who you are, where you come from, or what your current circumstances are. Your imagination is the divine tool you were born with. It is the key that unlocks the treasure chest of abundance. So when you want to win the lottery, do this one thing. Listen once. Close your eyes. Feel the win. Know it is yours. Then let go. Watch as the world rearranges itself to bring your assumption to light. Many will say this is impossible. Many will say it is superstition or foolishness. But know that all great miracles in history began with a single assumption, a single act of faith, a single moment of deep listening to the voice within. Your lottery win is already written in the book of your imagination. It is the reality you have yet to claim. When you listen once, you write the first line, the most important line of your story. Remember, you are not a helpless bystander waiting for chance to smile on you. You are the creator, the source, the very life that moves all things. The lottery is just another way. The universe says, I am here to fulfill your desire. Do not delay. Do not hesitate. Do not multiply your efforts. One listening, one feeling, one knowing, and then peace. And in this peace, the lottery win comes. It cannot do otherwise. It is your truth made manifest. Very well. Let us go deeper still. For the power lies in the unseen, the silent realm where your consciousness dwells. When you listen once to the voice of the fulfilled desire, you are not simply imagining a future event. You are stepping into a new reality, one that exists now in the theater of your mind. This theater is sacred. It is the place where creation happens before it appears in the world of form. You must understand that imagination is not fantasy. It is the divine faculty through which God operates. When you imagine yourself as the lottery winner, you are aligning with the eternal truth of your being. This alignment changes your vibration, your energy, and thus changes the magnetic field around you. The numbers, the ticket, the prize, all are secondary. They follow the first cause, which is the assumption in your mind. It is this assumption that you must nourish. When you listen once, listen with the fullness of your heart. Not a passing thought, not a half-belief, but a deep, rich experience of the wish fulfilled. Imagine the letter in your hand, the sound of your name being announced, the feeling of abundance flooding your senses. Do this with all the senses involved, and you will awaken the law within you. But beware, the moment after this sacred listening is fragile. Do not allow the mind's chatter to erode your conviction. Doubt is the great destroyer. It whispers, not yet. Try harder. This cannot be. Resist this. Instead, cultivate faith. And faith is rest. It is the act of ceasing to struggle and allowing the invisible to become visible. You must rest in the feeling, not the fact. The fact you want has not appeared yet. That is irrelevant. The feeling of the fact is what creates the fact. This is the secret that the great masters have known for centuries. They have taught that the external world is mutable, changeable, and obedient to your inner state. The lottery win is no exception. It is a manifestation like any other. The process is the same, whether you want money, love, health, or success. The only difference is your focus. Here, your focus is on the grandest possible prize, a sudden and complete change of fortune. And that prize belongs to you because you are the creator. You must listen once and then allow the seed to germinate in the dark soil of your subconscious. This is the part unseen but crucial. Your subconscious mind does not argue. It accepts what you impress upon it. When you impress the feeling of having won the lottery, your subconscious mind begins to rearrange your reality in harmony with that feeling. Do not underestimate the power of this unseen work. While you rest, your subconscious is busy weaving the threads of your new reality. It moves behind the scenes, arranging circumstances, attracting opportunities, aligning events, all to bring you your winning ticket. But if you keep listening with doubt, if you keep returning to the problem, if you let fear or disbelief creep in, you break the spell. The subconscious then receives conflicting messages and your creation is delayed, distorted, or denied. Therefore, the work is not in doing more. It is in being still and steadfast. It is in the deep knowing that your wish is already fulfilled, even if the senses do not yet show it. You live in the end, not in the means. You embody the reality of having won before the outside confirms it. Imagine the power in this. You are not at the mercy of chance or fate. You are sovereign over your destiny. The lottery is simply the stage upon which your imagination performs. When you have done your part, listened once with conviction, you step back and allow the divine order to manifest the proof. This is the law of consciousness, and it is immutable. It is the great truth that Neville Goddard has passed down. He said, to desire a state and to enter it in imagination is to create reality. And the state here is that of the winner, the victorious one, the beloved who has received abundance. Now I invite you to listen once more, this time in your own silence. Close your eyes and let your mind's eye see the confirmation, the prize, the joy. Feel it, hear it, touch it. Let the feeling swell inside until it fills every corner of your being. Then release it. Release your insistence on how and when. Release the need to control. Release the fear and the doubt. Do nothing else. Watch and wait with calm expectancy. You will see the invisible becoming visible. The universe delights in your faith. It bows to your assumption. It answers your unshaken belief. The lottery ticket will appear. The numbers will align. The call will come. But only because you have prepared the fertile ground within. This method is not complicated. It requires no special knowledge, no secret formula. It requires only one thing, the willingness to believe once and rest. This willingness is your open door. It invites the impossible to step into your life. Remember, the world you see is but a reflection of the world you feel inside. Change your feeling, and the reflection changes. This is the miracle you can live. This is the miracle of winning the lottery, not by chance, but by design. So begin now. Listen once, feel once, believe once, then let go. Watch the unseen work its magic. Know that your winning ticket exists, not somewhere outside, but inside you, in the realm of imagination and faith. When the world shows you your prize, you will smile and know that the true victory was in the listening, the feeling, the being. You will know that you did not win because of luck or effort, but because you aligned with your divine power. The power of imagination, the power of assumption. In that knowing, you will understand that winning the lottery is not the end but the beginning of living fully as the creator of your reality, the master of your fate, the beloved child of the infinite. Keep this truth close. Carry it with you always. For the moment you listen once and believe, you have already won. The rest is simply the unfolding of what your heart has made real. This is your secret. This is your power. This is your lottery ticket to life. Now listen once more, silently, deeply. Feel the win. Know it is yours. Then rest in peace and expectancy. The world is already arranging itself for you. Your victory is inevitable. Your lottery win is certain. You have done the one thing required. The rest is done for you. Yes, let us go even deeper into the mystery that is you, the creator of all things. The moment you listen once, that sacred act of imagination is not a fleeting thought, but an eternal reality planted within your being. This reality dwells in the fertile soil of your subconscious, waiting for the perfect conditions to sprout, to bloom, to bear fruit. And the conditions are simple. Your unwavering faith, your refusal to return to the old reality of lack, your steadfast attention to the feeling of having already won. You see, your subconscious mind is like a faithful servant, ready to obey every command you give through your feelings and beliefs. It does not question or hesitate. When you impress upon it the conviction that you are a lottery winner, it begins its quiet, invisible work. It reshapes your outer world, aligning events, people, and circumstances to manifest your assumption. This work is silent, often unnoticed, at first, but powerful beyond measure. But here is the subtlety that many miss. Your subconscious accepts what you impress upon it as real. If you impress doubt, fear, or impatience, it must honor those feelings too. It cannot distinguish between what you want and what you fear. Therefore, after you listen once, it is crucial that you guard your inner conversation carefully. Do not entertain thoughts of what if I don't win, or maybe it won't happen. Such thoughts undo the work of your imagination. Instead, gently but firmly return your attention to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. The art of winning the lottery through imagination is not about forcing or striving. It is about knowing and being. It is about embodying the reality you desire so fully that your outer world cannot help but respond. It is about becoming the person who already has the prize, who lives in the reality of abundance. Think about it. When you meet someone who has abundance, who carries themselves with the confidence of wealth, they naturally attract opportunities, connections, and success. They do not chase, they allow. This is the state you must cultivate, the state of the winner. Listening once to this inner voice of fulfillment is the beginning of this transformation. It is the planting of a seed that will grow into a mighty tree, sheltering you from doubt and lack. But remember, a seed must be left alone to grow. If you dig it up every day to see if it has sprouted, you destroy it. So too with your imagination. After you listen once and feel once, you must rest. You must trust. This trust is the invisible thread that connects your inner world to the outer manifestation. Without trust, your assumptions falter. Without trust, your subconscious cannot fully engage in the creative process. Without trust, your lottery win remains a dream, distant and unreal. But with trust, miracles happen. Doors open where there were walls. Opportunities appear where there was emptiness. The winning numbers come to you as naturally as breathing. You become a magnet for the miraculous. This magnetism is not magic in the childish sense, but the natural law of creation. It is the law Neville Goddard taught. A law that says, believe in the reality of your wish fulfilled, and it must manifest. This law does not take sides. It simply reflects your inner state. It is impartial, exact, and unyielding. Therefore, when you listen once, do so with all your senses. Feel the joy, the gratitude, the excitement. Hear the announcement of your win. See yourself holding the check or the ticket. Smell the crispness of the paper. Taste the sweetness of success. Make it as real as you can in your imagination. Then, and only then, release it. Stop trying to force the outcome. Stop worrying about the how and when. Allow your subconscious to do its perfect work. Allow the universe to move on your behalf. Do not fall into the trap of watching the external world for signs. The external world is a poor judge of your inner reality. What matters is your feeling, your state, your knowing. When you maintain this inner state, your outer world will inevitably reflect it. Many people fail because they act out of desperation, buying more tickets, changing numbers, seeking new strategies. This is the voice of lack, not the voice of faith. True power lies in stillness, in listening once and resting. Imagine the peace that comes from this knowing, that you do not need to scramble, strive, or push. The universe is already conspiring for your success. Your winning ticket is being arranged in perfect timing. You may wonder, how long must I wait? The answer is not in days or weeks, but in the depth of your faith. Some see results quickly because their conviction is strong. Others take longer because their doubts linger. But the promise is sure. If you listen once with feeling and rest in faith, the manifestation will come. Do not allow impatience to cloud your vision. Impatience is the enemy of manifestation. It signals doubt, and doubt breaks the spell. Instead, cultivate patience, which is faith in action. Patience is the calm knowing that your desire is on its way. In this patience, continue to live as the winner. Speak as if you have won. Think as if you have won. Act as if you have won. This alignment strengthens your assumption and impresses it deeper into your subconscious. Remember, the law does not distinguish between real and imagined. It only knows the feeling impressed upon it. Therefore, your imagined state of having won the lottery is just as powerful as any external proof. You are not deluding yourself. You are creating yourself. You are not escaping reality. You are shaping it. This is the divine power within you. So I urge you now, listen once more. Feel deeply. Believe fully. Then rest, knowing that the universe hears you and answers. You are the master of your fate. You are the lottery winner already living in the world of imagination. The rest is simply the unfolding of what you have already created. Do not do anything else. Just listen once, and then be still. Watch as your life transforms in ways you cannot yet imagine. The unseen becomes seen. The impossible becomes possible. And your winning ticket appears not by chance, but by design. Your destiny awaits. As you dwell in this state, the world around you begins to shift subtly. Perhaps at first you notice small coincidences, whispers of confirmation that your inner assumption is taking root. These are the gentle nudges of the unseen working behind the curtain. You do not chase them. You simply acknowledge them with gratitude and return to your feeling of fulfillment. Remember, the outer world is slow to catch up, for it is bound by time and space. But your consciousness is beyond these limitations. Your consciousness is eternal and immediate. It is here and now, shaping the clay of reality with every thought and feeling. Hold fast to this awareness. When you walk in the knowing that you have already won, your vibration shifts into harmony with abundance. This harmony attracts the perfect circumstances, the exact numbers, and the flawless timing required for your lottery win. You may feel at times a temptation to doubt or to act. This is natural. The old world tries to pull you back into its patterns of scarcity and struggle. But each time this happens, gently remind yourself of your inner truth. Return to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Feel it again, hear it again, see it again. This repeated immersion in your imagined reality strengthens your conviction. It deepens the impression on your subconscious mind until it becomes unshakable. This is how miracles are born, through persistent, unyielding faith. You might wonder about the practical details. The ticket, the numbers, the chance. These are the forms through which your assumption will manifest. But they are not the source. The source is your inner state. When you align fully with this source, the forms follow effortlessly. Neville Goddard reminds us that all transformation begins with an intense, burning desire to be or have something, accompanied by the belief that it is already yours. This belief is not mere hope. It is a certainty born of imagination. You do not wait for evidence. You live in the evidence of your imagination. You act as if the win has already occurred. This is the magic key that unlocks the door to your desire. As you maintain this state, you will find your awareness expanding. You will recognize the power you hold, the power to create, to manifest, to call forth your dreams. You will see that the lottery win is but a symbol of your greater ability to shape your reality. With this realization, you approach life differently. You become calm, confident, and radiant. You attract not only money but opportunities, relationships, and experiences that align with your vision of abundance. The act of listening once is a sacred ritual. It is the moment you step out of limitation and into the infinite. It is the moment you claim your birthright as a creature. Do not underestimate this moment. It is the seed of all your future blessings. Nourish it with faith. Protect it with patience. Live it with joy. Know this, the universe is infinitely generous. It responds to your inner state with perfect grace and timing. Your winning ticket is already written in the script of existence. Your only task is to listen once, believe once, and then rest. In this rest, miracles arise. You are not a victim of chance, but a master of destiny. Your lottery win is the inevitable expression of your inner reality. So continue to hold this vision. Continue to feel the reality of the win. Continue to walk in faith, for you have done the essential work. You have listened once. Now live as the winner you are. The rest unfolds effortlessly. Your time is now. Your prize awaits. You have already won in the unseen. The visible world will soon reflect what your heart has known all along. And when it does, you will smile with the knowing that it was never about luck, but about listening once, believing fully, and resting in the power of your imagination. So now, my friend, understand this with unshakable clarity. The lottery win you seek is not a matter of chance, struggle, or endless effort. It is a matter of your consciousness, your inner assumption, and the single profound act of listening once with complete faith. When you do this, you step into the realm of creation itself, where all things are possible, and all desires are fulfilled. Trust in the unseen work of your subconscious. Hold fast to the feeling of the wish fulfilled, and rest in the knowing that your victory is already sealed. Your winning ticket is not something to chase. It is already yours, waiting to manifest in perfect divine timing. You are the creator of your reality, the master of your fate. So listen once, believe fully, and then do nothing but live as the winner you already are. The universe bows to this truth. Your miracle is inevitable. Your time is now.